Welcome everybody to this special breakdown of the Harry Potter HBO trailer. This is going to be a little bit of an in-depth breakdown from a Harry Potter fan perspective and also a filmmaking perspective. We're going to kind of dive into the cinematography, the lighting, the set design, the costume choices. There's a lot of filmmaking terms that you're going to hear today in this video, and it's kind of one of the aspects that I'm going to use to break down the video. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So now we're going to go frame by frame for the most part here, which is not the whole thing, but as you can see here, we have, we're focusing in and we are dollying, which is, there's a track on the ground basically. And the camera is facing obviously forward, and it's being pulled on a dolly track to the left to reveal Vernon Dursley here, who is sitting in the back right here with, he's reading the newspaper. And obviously this is a Tudor style home, so the layout of the home is going to be the same as in the movies, because the style of home that they live in is a Tudor style home. And I am not from this area, but I'm pretty sure this is what the style of the home is. This is the layout of the house. So it looks very similar to the movies, which I'm totally cool with. And Vernon and Petunia look like they are more book accurate in terms of age, which I know if you're a book reader, like, we've read the books. I've read the books. I'm old. I've been around. I'm not old, but I've been around long enough that I remember the books before the movies came out. So yeah, I'm that old, I guess, but here we are. So I'm liking what I see so far. And then obviously Harry gets thrown back in here. What I've noticed, if you go, can we see it there? Yes. So right here is a drawing of a motorbike. And in the movies, in the books, what's cool is Harry dreams of Hagrid's motorbike, right? He dreams of somebody picking him up and taking him away from the abusive family that he lives with, which are his aunt and uncle. So it's cool to see that he's drawn the motorcycle here from his dreams. I think that's really cool. From a cinematography perspective, obviously the key light is coming from probably up top, because you can see a shadow right here. So even though this is, right, you are in a cupboard, there would be no light here. There's a practical here, which is, a practical is basically any sort of realistic, I guess, light, right? Not anything that's a film light that exists in the scene. So you could turn this on. So at least they gave him electricity in the cupboard under the stairs. There's some electricity here for him, I guess, if he wants to read or draw or do whatever he wants to do. We got some headphones here, and the hanger that he got for Christmas. I can see that here. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's very toppy. Toppy basically just means that the light source is coming from up above, right? So it's a diffused light source that is casting and bringing exposure in here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see anything in here, right? And then we have another top-down shot, obviously. Now they're playing through the slits in the door to get some exposure on his face. They're just literally blasting a light through here, through the door, and they're having him position himself to the point where he is laying in the light. And obviously he is crying because it's traumatic for him. It's not a good time. Not at all. We see Harry running through the halls of the school that he goes to before he goes to Hogwarts, and he's being bullied by Dudley. Here we go. I think all these actors look really good. I really think they all look like their characters, man. Like, I can't complain. Everybody looks pretty book accurate, even like Harry's hair. It's said in the books that it sticks up in the back, and when you see later in the trailer, they're actually book accurate to the point where his hair sticks up in the back. So it's pretty great, to be honest. Like, he looks like Harry Potter. So I'm very excited. We got Petunia here cutting the hair of Harry. It's mentioned in the books that his hair grows back rapidly, and obviously that this is one of the first signs of magic in his life. And as we know, Aunt Petunia, played by Belle Powley here, hates that, right? Because she resents her sister. And I think this is something that is going to be fun for the book readers, right? Is that we are going to see things that we didn't get to see in the movies because we simply just didn't have enough time. And I think that's my biggest positive here, when people are like, well, why are they redoing this? I don't see any point in redoing this. Well, this is why, because it's going to be and when they say it's a more faithful adaptation, and people complain about the race of the Snape casting, so they immediately just throw it into the box of, well, then it's not a more faithful adaptation because they ruined the race of Snape. That's stupid. No, it is a more faithful adaptation because we're going to be seeing more things from the books. It's going to be a more accurate one-to-one adaptation simply because we have more hours to spend with these characters. So yeah, I don't understand why people complain about dumb things when they don't actually think. I understand the hesitancy for the Snape race, given things that happened to Snape, particularly in this first movie. The three main kids in this, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, suspect the only black character of being the one that is going to take the stone, right? Of being the bad guy. I can see where that might be a problem, and I don't know how they're going to get around that. So that will be interesting to see what they do there. But obviously, they cast Papa Asidu because Papa Asidu was clearly gave a great audition. He's clearly a great actor, and he won the role. So, and I'm sure he's going to do a fantastic job. So we see them cutting the hair here. Obviously, you see the light is motivated. We have a key light coming through here. It's all motivated through the windows. So they're probably blasting like M90s, real strong daylights coming through the windows here. And they have some sort of black solid here, probably to give us a little bit of shape on the face here, because it gives you different contrast ratios on the face. And one thing that I'm going to say right now about our dude here, Dominic McLaughlin, I don't know how to say his name. I'm saying McLaughlin. I'm gonna go with that. This is no shade to Daniel Radcliffe. I grew up on Daniel Radcliffe, but I think that Dominic is going to act circles around Daniel Radcliffe. You can already see it in his face. I think Daniel's come out in interviews where he's stated that he was afraid to make facial expressions because I think he was a very self-conscious kid, from everything that I've gathered. Now he's grown up, and obviously he's been able to feel comfortable in his own skin. But I think growing up, he was very self-conscious, and you can tell in the performance, right? When you go back and watch those early movies, pretty much all of the Harry Potter movies, there's not a lot of expression in his face, and you can tell. So I think that there's going to be, and there's a couple other shots in this trailer, man, that like, and she's pointing the scissors at him too. Like, come on, man. It's pretty crazy. But I'm just like, look at that. Like, I think Dominic is doing stuff here that Daniel just wasn't capable of doing as a child actor. I think Dominic has come in with more experience as an actor already as a 12-year-old kid, 11, 12-year-old kid. So I think he just knows, and he also knows what franchise he's in, right? I think the other thing that these showrunners and the TV series has particularly, is they know the full story arc, right? We understand that this anger that you see here on her face means something, right? It's the resentment of her sister, right? It's the resentment. She hates that she didn't get accepted to Hogwarts, right? There's a past here that we didn't know. Like, she resents her sister. And so therefore, and she takes it out on Harry. And we didn't know that back in 2000 when they were filming the first movie, right? We just didn't know that. So there's a lot of subtext here that we're going to be able to play with that shows up constantly throughout this trailer. All right, one thing that I really like about this is we got the blown out windows. I'm just kidding. When you expose for indoors, you have a choice. You can do a couple things. You can expose for the windows so that the windows don't blow out, or you blow out the windows, but then you keep exposure inside, right? They chose to blow out the windows. If you expose for the windows, then you have to bring in artificial light because obviously if you expose for the windows, everything indoors is going to get darker. And so then you have to bring in artificial light to bring up the exposure. But it looks like they chose to blow out the windows. That's not a big deal. That's fine. There's a little light play. What's nice too is I'm assuming there's some sort of light obviously up here in this corner. And they've shaped it with cutters or with flags or something. Or they might just be shooting through the banister or something. But they're creating play. They're creating light play on his clothes here. And it just helps him stand out, right? And he's got a little bit of hair light too coming from this way. And it's all controlled, right? Otherwise it would be spilling all over this area right here, but it's all controlled. So just little things that, it like dapples on his arm and stuff. And it's little things like that. And it hits right here on the wall. It's little things like that create basically contrast in your frame, right? You have dark areas and you have lighter areas. And it just the little tiny details that you wouldn't think of that you kind of do whenever you're composing a frame. And we're doing a lot of that. We're shooting a film right now on the weekends, and we're doing a lot of these little things where we get our image ready to go, we set up, and then we just plus it, right? It's called plussing. You just plus up your image a little bit. What I like here is you have something in the foreground. There's also a lot of depth here, right? You could have decided to shoot this kind of straight on, but you've decided it's a little bit of a wider lens. You're a little bit of a deeper depth of field, where that basically means you can see more, right? Shallower depth of field means that it's all blurry in the background. But they decided to do this on a little bit of a wider lens. I'm assuming this might be like a 24 millimeter, 20 something, 24, 20, whatever, 20 something millimeter. You got stuff in the foreground here with whatever this is. That looks like a bunch of dead stuff. I don't know what that is. Is that supposed to be potpourri? I know potpourri was like really big in the 90s. I lived through a lot of it, so maybe that's potpourri right there. I don't know. And then we got the close-up, and like I said, this is a longer lens, and this is what I was talking about with the depth of field. Obviously, you can see things are shallower, right? Which means they are out of focus. So this is a very shallow depth of field, right? Sorry, I had to move my mic to make sure that my mic was going. But yeah, we got some cursive going on here. And he's got his Hogwarts letter. Pretty standard insert shot there. We call these inserts, so it's pretty standard insert. A new HBO original series. Pretty awesome. And then they're doing interesting things with the cinematography here, right? Like we're shooting through the glass. We're seeing reflections of Harry. I'm assuming that that's going to be a theme throughout the entire show, or at least this first season, right? Isolation. He feels very lonely here. He's very lost, maybe a little scared at this point, because they're on the train and they're probably going to Diagon Alley. So he doesn't know what's happening right now. And then we get to this shot where we push in and we also kind of pan to the left. And you notice something here that I thought was clever was blocking of actors is also super important, right? There's so many things that go into filmmaking that's maybe what we'll start doing more on this channel, is kind of appreciating things and paying attention to these things more. You got Nick Frost here playing Hagrid, and he is obscured by this man. This man is directed by the director to walk frame left, to reveal. It's a reveal. It's all done on purpose. he was told there's probably an assistant director or somebody cueing him, and they're saying now, or they're giving him some sort of cue so that when the camera's in the right position, it's revealing Hagrid, right? It's like he was directed to do that and turn. So very nice. Obviously, the lighting here is pretty self-explanatory. It's like toppy lighting. Well, the lighting is technically coming from here because this is the shadow side. So it's coming from frame right. Also toppy. We got some close-ups of the eyes, which are like bluish green. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people who like complain that his eyes aren't green. I don't really care. The color of the eyes, I mean, get the best actor you can, and those look bluish green. I don't really know. They don't look blue to me, but maybe they are. The color grading is also way darker than I would have expected. I would want a little bit of a brighter looking series, but I'm not in control of that, so it's fine. And then we got this scene. This is tricky because they are indoors and outdoors, right? So you have some sort of, you probably have ND on the lens, which is neutral density, which is basically knocks down the exposure, and you probably found a sweet spot that you were able to get exposure here and out there. There's obviously some sort of light that's probably happening to balance these two shots. But what I do like here is the direction. You can see Hagrid tussle his hair here, right? He's messing with them, and you can just tell, I think, that there's going to be a friendship, because they always talk about Hagrid being a friend, right? They're always talking. They're like, oh, let's go see Hagrid and our friend Hagrid, and I think he's really going to be. We're going to see that. We're going to be able to spend more time with these characters and see Hagrid really become a friend to Harry Potter and his cohorts of friends. So it's exciting. Then we got a wide shot. Nothing special there, really. I mean, it's cool. He's running for his life away from the Dursleys, right? We also see, obviously, he's in different clothes than he was with Hagrid. So that obviously means that he's going to... there's going to be a point where he goes back to the Dursleys. I would assume that they only spend one episode. It's 8 episodes, and I would assume that they only spend one episode at the Dursleys. Maybe only one episode at the Dursleys. Maybe 1.5. I don't quite know. And then, all right, this shot, if you watch my initial trailer reaction, most of it is honestly just me in shock. I think I've been anticipating this show my entire life. I've always wanted this to become a TV series. I've always thought that this is like Bennett, like it's the perfect TV series in my opinion, because of everything that we have but that we didn't get in the movies, right? So it's like, what? Yeah, of course this is a TV show. Like, make it a show. So I'm excited. And the reality is, I was just in shock for that entire reaction. Upon watching this, I really feel like this is incredible. Like, this is fantastic. Like, I'm kind of in love with this. This is everything that I think I've wanted it to be for the most part. There's only a couple like tiny things that I wasn't really a big, like I had some issues with, but other than that, again, Dominic's acting is phenomenal here, guys. Like, I can't even, and the direction and the cinematography and like the framing is incredible. He's looking out the window here at Molly and Ron as they embrace. Okay. And it's like this shot right here, dude. I'm telling you right now, the more I watch the trailer, and then when this shot comes up, finally clicks to me, and like this hits me on a level that I can't even describe to you, because he's a boy who doesn't have his parents, and he's looking, I mean, look at that act, like look at his face, bro. Like, I don't think we even, I love Daniel, but I don't even think Daniel even comes close to this, especially not at this age, maybe later in the movies. But I mean, Dominic is already conveying this sense of, loss. And it's just like, he doesn't have this, and he can never have, like, he will eventually. This is his family that he's looking at, but he doesn't have this right now, right? He's alone in this train car. He doesn't have parents to send him off to Hogwarts, right? He has no idea where he's going, right? And this just hit home because, you know, as somebody, I grew up with a family, and I grew up with a single mother, and she was, you know, she was a good mother, but I always felt like an outcast. I always felt like somebody. I've always been into filmmaking, right? And when you're, and basically had his age, right? I was into filmmaking when I was this young, right? I had a camera, I was filming stuff. It was pretty much written in stone that, like, this is what I was going to do with my life. And that kind of alienated me, right? I was never good at sports. Academically, I'm good academically when I apply myself, but back then I didn't apply myself, so I wasn't that great. My grades were not awesome. But when I apply myself, I can excel. But I feel this, and I think this is why, you know, I can relate to Harry on a deep level here, where it's like I felt like I didn't really have all of my family, and there was a lot of questions that I had based um, on my past that I didn't know the answers to, and I think that's why I connected so deeply to this character, and to see it in this one frame pretty much sells me on this whole show. I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'm completely sold, and I'm ready to rock, and let's go. So again, beautiful cinematography here, and lots of filmmaking lessons to be learned just by this trailer. Based on the beloved books, you already know what's up. The train looks identical to the one in the movies, and that's cool. Another thing I don't understand is when people are like, oh, this looks like the movies. It's like, yeah, and? Like, I don't, like, it's all based on the book. The book is the source material. So, of course, like, things are going to look the same. Things are going to look similar. And in some cases, things are going to look or be recycled, which I will show you in a second that I'm pretty sure it's recycled. But a couple things are. This train is brand new, but it's all painted. They're walking with the first years here. Very cool. I like that. Hagrid knocking on the door. Very nice. Now we see the entrance to Hogwarts. Oh, before we see McGonagall, let's go back. We see the entrance to Hogwarts. Now, in my opinion, this is a lot of first years, dog. I thought there's only supposed to be like 20 first years. There's quite a lot of kids here. I think there's probably even more. So I don't really know what's going on here. But we got staircases going every which way. We got Slytherin flag. We got Gryffindor flag. I don't know why we don't have the other two flags. That's kind of weird. Wouldn't the other two, like, is this where it's like, okay, the Slytherins are in the dungeons, so they go, their dorm is somewhere else. But it's just interesting that there's like only two flags here. Looks like there's a tree that grows. I don't know if this is a real tree or if this is like aesthetic tree. This is our aesthetic tree at Hogwarts. I don't know what's going on here, but pretty cool if I do say so myself. And let's look and see if the candles are actually burning. Yep, the candles are burning. So I've seen a couple things where it's like, I don't know if it's all candlelight or if they actually do have electricity in the Hogwarts. I'm not sure. Some stuff, it all looks like fire candlelight maybe, but I don't know. We'll have to see. It's very, very interesting. And then off to the camera left here, this is where the Great Hall is. Like, this is the door to the Great Hall. I've seen a couple people call this the Great Hall, but you're wrong. Like, this is not the Great Hall. This is the entrance to Hogwarts. And then this over here is probably the Great Hall. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a couple people be like, the Great Hall. This is not the Great Hall. The Great Hall has tables. This does not have tables. Very strange. Minerva McGonagall, played by Janet McTeer, I think is her name. She looks good to me. She looks like a stern woman, right, who means business. And will obviously, as we know, softens a little bit as the story goes on and becomes a pretty big ally to Harry Potter. So very cool, very cool. The Sorting Hat looking, and I'm assuming that the stitching, like the mouth is supposed to come here from here, I guess, but maybe the stitching will open up here. But I like this hat. This hat looks cool. It's all very different, right? It's different but same but different. And then we have the shot of the trio. Again, production design, set design look incredible. The staircase looks awesome. I love the headband. I guess you call it the headband. The headband on Hermione looks awesome. The frizzy hair on Hermione is perfect. Ron looks great. Harry looks great. The Hogwarts crest here, right here. Not a fan of that. I'll be honest. There are things in this trailer that I'm not particularly jazzed about. I think the Hogwarts logo with the tree roots coming up at the top and the bottom. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that looks good at all. Really don't like that. I like the OG Hogwarts crest, but what you gonna do? You got a Slytherin flag right up here. You have another Slytherin flag. So there's Slytherin pride going on for sure. Then we got Ollivander, which I'm assuming these are wands back here, like boxes of wands. And then Ollivander being like, you are the chosen one. And then we got the wand here. The wand looks cool, I guess. I don't really know. Looks very similar to the one in the movies, but just all black, I guess. It's really hard to tell with the lighting what the colors of this wand are. If it's black, if it's like black and brown here, or like a darker brown, or like if it's, I don't really know. Or if it's blue, we have no idea. And then we have a classroom. I love all of the candle lit, and looks like there's a bloom filter going on the lens. The bloom filter will basically just give you like a glow, right? Like it turns these these wicks into, it just blooms them, meaning they diffuse themselves. I'm trying to speak in non-filmmaking terms, but it's really hard for me to do that. They bloom, the highlights is what it's called. So there's some sort of filtration on the lens. And it's not for every shot, but definitely for this, there's definitely some bloom going on, which is cool. There's speculation that this is a ghost. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think that's just part of the blackboard. This looks like Hogwarts to me. This is like history of Hogwarts, the history of magic. Classroom with Professor Binns, who is a ghost. And I think that might be our first look into what the Hogwarts castle looks like. So that's pretty cool. Going back, we got, and it's in the books, it's said that Professor Binns gives really boring lectures. So as we can see, we see a kid falling asleep back there. He is asleep. We see Hermione in the foreground, and Harry Potter, who is brand new to this school, is very attentive, obviously. And I just think this kid looks like Harry Potter, bro. Like, Daniel also looks like Harry Potter, but this kid pulls it off entirely. Like this, he looks like Harry Potter, dude. So I'm stoked. Here's what I was talking about. Here, we'll frame it up so it's all, so you can see the full frame. Here's what I was talking about with the hair being messy in the back of his head. I mean, that they nailed that. That's perfect right there. This is the Gryffindor common room. And the Gryffindor common room, if I'm not mistaken, is described as like a circular tower that goes all the way up, right? Like the common room base area of the common room is just like a circle. So we definitely see that. It's a lower shot looking up. It's the wonders of Hogwarts, very cool. And this is where I was talking about them actually using electricity, because this is a lamp with a lampshade, and this is a lamp with a lampshade, right? And these are light bulbs, right? This is a light bulb. This is a light bulb. I think that's a lamp. That's a lamp with a lampshade. Now they might be lit with candlelight, but like firelight, right? But it's interesting because I see these shots and I'm like, well, okay, so they do have electricity. I don't know. Very interesting. Like, they do have electricity, but very cool that we're going to see this. And I'm excited to spend a lot of time here. I'm very excited after we, when we win Quidditch matches, we're going to have parties. Like, I want to see them partying it up. I want to see Fred and George just like be the cool ones, bro. Like, Fred and George are going to be the ones that are like throwing the parties and like having a great time in this room. So I'm excited. I'm super stoked. And then we got Malfoy and the gang. So it looks like all of the Hogwarts students are going to wear this like maroon sweater, and then the house colors, because they do all wear, and this is in the books too, where they wear the Hogwarts robes, and then the colors are like, the crests are not on the Hogwarts robes. They are in the movies, but they're not in the books. So that's, again, book accurate. Lighting wise, obviously it's being keyed from camera right. We have a daylight balanced like 56, maybe 5,000 Kelvin, maybe 4,500 Kelvin, keying his face right here. So pretty cool. And it wraps around to hit them. These guys, not so much. It doesn't hit them. They're further back in the frame. But yeah, Crabbe and Goyle and Pansy Parkins, pretty cool. This is the Nimbus 2000. The box looks cool. I'll be honest. The box looks cool. It says Swift as a snitch down here. Very cool. 2000. Let's go frame by frame because we can do that because we're in the editing system. So that's what's nice about this, is we can go frame by frame. I'm going to assume that this right here says precision. It probably says something precision, and then Swift as a snitch. And the box curves. It looks, or this is just the paper. I thought it curved, but it doesn't curve. But still, pretty cool. Again, back with emotion. Daniel just kind of has this like, again, I love the movies. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you sound like you don't like the movies. The movies are the most precious thing on the planet to me, dog. So you're just wrong. But I can also recognize where we're at and where his acting was at the time and where child acting is now. It's come a long way. And just the joy on these kids' faces, it's there, dude. Like, this is what it's all about. Now we got some Quidditch going on. Very cool that they have like Muggle clothes going on here, right? Because you got Muggle-borns and you got purebloods, people coming from wizard families, people coming from Muggle families. So you're going to have a mixture of like wizardy robes and then just clothes that people brought from our world, right? There's going to be a mixture. We got Fred and George right here, 2 and 3, the Weasleys, and then the rest of the Quidditch team and the Hufflepuffs. This is the second match in the book that Snape ends up refereeing. You got the 2 friends of Harry Potter here. I truly believe that these 2 are going to like possibly steal the whole show. I think these guys are going to be a standout, man. All of them. I mean, it looks like, Dominic is, like I said, is going to destroy. He's going to be pretty awesome in this role. So I'm super excited. All right, this is our first shot of the Nimbus 2000. That looks, I don't know, it's growing on me. The more I watch it, the more I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. Hufflepuff's got some crazy thing going on here where they got the broom going both ways. It creates like this like X pattern. Pretty wild. We got Fred or George here. I'm not sure which one's which. But yeah, the Quidditch uniforms look pretty cool. I like the stripes here, dude. I think that's really cool. It's going to just look, I think, better when it's in motion and when you do the CGI on it, rather than just having the solid color. I think it's going to be pretty sick. We also see Snape back here because Snape referees the shot, or referees the game, and he is coming out of the stadium or whatever. Another thing that I really enjoy about this is that they put the spectators above. They elevated the spectators, which was something that always kind of drove me nuts about the movies. Was if everybody's on the ground, this looks like benches where people can, like, during Quidditch practices, this is where the people will be during the Quidditch practice. And then they'll just hop on their broom and they can fly up into the sky. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here with these benches. But it always drove me crazy that the spectators were on the ground. Like, all the kids were on the ground, and you're watching a game that is like hundreds of feet in the air. So it's like all of their necks must be like destroyed. Like, I don't understand how you watch that if you have to look up constantly. So at least the set design has them elevated so they don't have to stare, up into space. So that's nice. Then we got herbology. Looks pretty sick. I like the big tree. Set design kills it. We got Hermione. We got Neville. And I think this is, it's one of the Pravati twins. One of the twins there. But yeah, very cool, very cool. And now here's what's up. Here's what's up. They are running in the Great Hall. Okay, so my speculation was, did they just reuse the Great Hall, right? And I'm pretty sure they did, because if you look at reference images, these windows are identical to the movie. The fireplace also is identical. These little fire pit thingies for the light is also identical. This looks exactly, and the wood paneling that comes up to about this height, and the fireplace that's burnt around the edges and is black, is identical to the movie. So I wouldn't be surprised. And they already have this set, right? They built this set 25 years ago. I can't imagine that they rebuilt this whole thing when they've already spent money on it, and it's kind of perfect the way it is. So I'm gonna put money. Obviously, there'll be little changes, right? They will have changed the tables, probably, maybe not, I don't know. But they will have changed some things. But I'm gonna put money that this is the exact same set, almost to a T. This has got to be the same set. I don't know why they're running on the tables. They're having fun, they're doing something. Here we go. They are throwing candy at each other. We got Hedwig right here. Gotta love Hedwig. And then obviously right here, we see a snout, and we see a foot, and we see another foot, and another foot. And we know who this is. This would be Scabbers. AKA, I'm not going to spoil, because I gotta be mindful here. I'm not going to spoil anything about Scabbers, but there's Scabbers. And in the book, it's talked about how Scabbers passes out because he's had so much candy. So I think that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny that that's actually happened here. So very cool. Very cool. They're playing with snow. They do this in the book. This is during Christmas break. We have the green sweater that was given to him on Christmas. So he's wearing the green sweater. Very awesome. And this person walking by the frame here, then they're having a snowball fight with Fred and George, I think, from what I remember. And Fred and George actually end up hitting Coral in the back of the head. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to assume that the person that's crossing the frame here is Coral. Potentially, maybe. And if that is Coral, then Fred and George are going to plop him in the back of the head. And I don't want to spoil anything about that, but that's pretty funny. We got Hagrid making a snow angel in the snow. I think this is going to be a much more joyous Hagrid, right? I think we're just going to see him having fun with the kids way more than we never really saw him have fun with the kids in the movie. So I think we're just going to get to see that. We're going to get to see them be friends and hang out and have a good time. Got a staircase. Got the Quidditch-ness going on. Like, I'm telling you right now, dude, he just looks like Harry Potter. All the Quidditch. I'm so excited to see the Quidditch. We get to pretty much see all the Quidditch matches, which I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. We got the Gryffindor locker room. Very cool, very cool. And then the Potter number 7. I think the Quidditch uniforms look awesome. I'm excited. We got the, like I said, the 90s aesthetic, but again, the mix of the Muggle-born families with the wizarding families. And that's just how it be, bro, because we're at Hogwarts, where Muggle-borns also come to Hogwarts. I've seen a couple people complain that it's like, why is there Muggle clothes mixed with wizard clothes? And it's like, do we all read the same book? Like, I don't understand why people complain about things that I think are explainable. Like, you know, and you got Lox Pratt here as Malfoy. It looks like he's eyeing Harry. There's something going on here. There's going to be some sort of tension here. Look out for that. They're roasting the big marshmallow that they do on Christmas. And basically in the book, they talk about how they eat marshmallows and they eat all the candy in the world that they can consume. And they have a great time. And they talk about how they can get Malfoy kicked out of school, right? And they're basically just coming up with theories on how they can get Malfoy kicked out, which is fun. And I'm just excited to see them. We're going to be able to see them kind of become friends, right? It's just kind of happens in the movies, right? Because we just don't have enough time. But with the show, we're going to be able to actually see them becoming friends. And the relationships, I think, are going to be much deeper. And I think that's just going to make this show, maybe possibly, again, I love the movies, but this could easily become the definitive telling of the show, of the series, just because we have more time with the characters, right? Like, we love the original cast. You're never, ever going to be able to capture that specific magic that did. But in terms of, if you're a book fan like I am, there are things that the movies just couldn't do. And we're going to be able to see that. And that's exciting. And that is a reason enough for the show to exist, in my opinion. I know people don't like that the show's being made, but I would like to see the books come to life. That would be sweet. Here we go. There he is, Mr. Snape himself. Now, if you've noticed, or if you can kind of tell, up here in the corner, there's fabric. Like, we're underneath the invisibility cloak, because if you look up here, you can see it moving. If you look up here, you can see movement going on, and that's basically us under the invisibility cloak. You can see it. You know, it's a terribly compressed thing. Because I downloaded it from the internet, and then it's going to be uploaded to YouTube again. So the compression is terrible, and HBO Max doesn't upload 4K versions of their trailers. They only upload 1080, and I don't understand why. Can you give us a 4K version, please? But if you look, you can see it moving, maybe. And so we're underneath the invisibility cloak. Something that I don't quite understand is, why are we underneath the invisibility cloak, but we are literally at pretty much almost eye level with Snape? Like, if we're Harry Potter, we wouldn't be this tall. Unless he's standing on something, I don't know. But it's just interesting that we are at the height that we're at if we're underneath the invisibility cloak. I don't know. Dumbledore with the Dumbledore with the tuning fork. I have no idea what this is. I don't know if he's going to, like, he gets called to London in the movie. So I wonder if this is him going off to London, potentially, at the end. But I don't know. It depends on what they've shot. Maybe they've shot all of his scenes. They probably have. They probably have shot all of his scenes already. So this could be when he goes to Gringotts, right? And he's inspecting the vault when there's a break-in at Gringotts. There's so many things that this could be. Who knows? We got the trio walking. They pass. That's just a student over here with a bag. I was like, what is that? They're walking, but they're walking with determination. Like, you can see the swag that they got. They got some determination. So that's cool. And then we got the train. This looks a little dark to me, I'll be honest. Like, exposure level wise, saturation level wise, this is not my vibe. It's the HBO Max vibe. I get it. But I just wish there was a little bit more color here and it was a little bit more exposed. Like if we just kind of go in here really quickly and we go to the HDR and we just bump the exposure, just bump it by a half, right? Like even that's better. And we need to mess with the contrast, but like you could, and this is very, whoa, that was way too much. That was crazy. But just a little bit and punch it. And then we just add a little bit of saturation. Like it could go a long way. Like, again, this is a really compressed version and it looks really terrible, but I mean, that already looks 10 times better. In my opinion, they can do whatever they want with it, but you know, it would just be nice if we could just get a little bit more color in there. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for my breakdown of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, coming to HBO Max this Christmas. Definitely going to be reviewing every episode of this. Definitely going to be breaking it down when we get a new trailer. Definitely going to be breaking it down from a filmmaking perspective. A big deep dive into this series is coming your way. So if you enjoyed this cinematic breakdown from a cinematic point of view and from a Harry Potter fan's point of view, let me know in the comments down below what you thought and give me your feedback. I really would enjoy hearing your thoughts. And yeah, I can't wait for the next trailer, man. We're probably going to get it around, I would think maybe even September 1st. Back to Hogwarts Day is when we're going to get our first official trailer. And yeah, man, thank you guys so much. Consider subscribing and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.